All right. Hi, I'm Chris Wolf. I lead AI and advanced services for the Cloud Foundation division in Broadcom. And I've been with the company now for more than 12 years. I've been working with VMware products and technologies for the past 25 years. Back then, I didn't have the gray hair. Now I do. But that's basically it. So product architecture and strategy for AI, it definitely keeps me busy.
Thank you for joining us, Chris. Hi, I'm Talat. I am the co-founder and CEO of Vectara. And before this, I did my PhD from KTH in Sweden, and it was with Ali Ghodsi, he's the CEO of Databricks. And one funny thing is that while I was doing my PhD, I interned at VMware. So that was my first internship, and I liked it so much that I went back the next year. So I did two internships at VMware. So since then, I've had a place for VMware at my heart. And yeah, before starting this company, I was working at Google, and Google came up with these transformer models. And that was the thesis of this company. How can we take the power of those transformer based models to any enterprise, not just large enterprises like Google?
Yeah, when you talk about production AI, there's a huge gap between what you have in terms of research and data science types of use cases compared to actually operationalizing something where you're concerned about SLAs and you're concerned about high availability, disaster recovery, being able to do lifecycle management, all of the basic things that are just ordinary day to day for an enterprise IT organization. Taking AI into that is often a bigger leap to go through. And that's really where from the beginning, we focused the AI strategy with Cloud Foundation was to address this use case specifically. And we've seen a ton of traction compared to some of these special purpose AI appliances that were really built for the data scientist persona. They were not built for all of the production operational challenges that you have to be faced with day to day. And between that and these growing concerns for privacy, this has really been a really key factor for organizations choosing to partner with us to lay that IaaS foundation for AI. And then we look to partners like Vectara to layer above us and then create the rest of that stack to complete the customer experience.
Yeah, 100% agreed with what Chris said. So AI is moving so fast. It's so hard to even keep pace on it. Like what's going on? There's new models coming out, new features for harness and whatnot. So in this space, like when companies go to production, one is what Chris mentioned, security, right? You don't want your data to leak. We're seeing companies where they cloud-based companies, like we saw an example recently with Claude, where they release all their source code by mistake, right? So you don't want to end up in a case like this. So companies are really hesitant to give their data to cloud-based companies. So that's one of the hesitancy they have. The second is recently we see that companies, they are getting more and more cost conscious, where the cost of model usage and the tokens used is getting out of control. A lot of time is justified because they get the same efficiency output, but a ton of times, especially long running agents, they might run all night and produce something that's completely useless. So it's companies are getting more and more aware of that. So this combination of security, governance, and keeping control of your own data and managing your costs is what we see as a huge challenge for productionizing AI.
There's a couple of parts to this. Certainly privacy, control, cost, wanting to assurances that your data is not being exposed to a cloud model or a third party. Like if you look at a lot of standard NDAs that organizations have with their own clients or customers, those NDAs will typically preclude the ability to share data with a third party. Once you start to lose chain of custody of that data, then you've essentially shared with a third party, and that becomes a real consideration. Now, if we step back and we're pragmatic, this isn't about just with this or that. It's typically a combination of both. Like Broadcom uses frontier models for lots of use cases. It's not use this or use that, but there's also some practicality here. It's like if I need to know where the milk is, I don't have to go and ask a rocket scientist to tell me that milk is probably in the refrigerator in my house, right? I can infer that with a lower degree of intelligence, and it's the same thing when you start to think about AI. That I can start to look at different expert models for different types of use cases. So rather than send a request to a frontier model to figure out what data I have to retrieve, or to do some basic language translation to name a couple of use cases, I can localize that. I can then use that I can do this local reasoning or even completions locally given the use case. That's going to save me on egress. That's going to save me on token costs. So this gives you a way to get the best of both worlds. And then there are times where I need to just fully isolate a language model as well, depending on the use case or the sensitivity of IP. So at the end of the day, you're thinking about architecting where you can have some gateway services and I can have some localized reasoning where I can decide what makes sense to go where. And when you do it right, the savings are dramatic. We're seeing customers that are seeing savings upwards of 60 or more percent when they start to really add a little bit more sanity and structure into how an AI prompt is actually processed and what model it's taking advantage of.
Yeah, so at Vectara, we have a end-to-end agentic platform that you can use to build different applications. And the good thing about us is like we have a SaaS offering. We also support VPC deployments and on-prem as well. Now we are seeing the most demand for the on-prem option. Our customers, they feel way more confident trying out POCs as well as going to production with on-prem. And that's why I'm super excited about the partnership with VMware. And when we ask them like, okay, why don't you want to use SaaS, right? So it's just not that it's not just that they don't want to use our SaaS service; they don't want to use any model provider in SaaS as well. And they're scared about data leakage. That's the one of the biggest reasons. Second is that they don't want to depend on somebody else, right? Like companies these days, they're subsidizing all this token usage costs. At some point, that VC money is going to run out. They're going to increase the prices. What happens then? Third is like the governance, the sovereignty, and once their data goes outside their network, they have no control over it, right? These are the main reasons we see where people say that they want to stay on-prem, and that actually helps them go to production with AI much faster because they do not have to worry about this part. Otherwise, the approval processes to go to production, everything would take way more time because now they need to vet every vendor. What are they doing once they get the data?
Yeah, so when you think about our overall strategy, this goes back now, I don't know, 4 or so years when we really started to double down on private AI, which was not really mainstream at the time or even part of mainstream thinking, which was, if you wanted to do anything with AI, you needed massive scale, you needed to leverage just only hyperscaler based solutions, and you were going to have to accept the fact that you were going to have to give up some control of your data to do it. And we fundamentally didn't agree with any of that. Sure, like I've mentioned before, we ourselves use frontier models in the public cloud, but there's a lot of these use cases where I need to be able to bring the AI model adjacent to my data to maintain privacy control, my privacy compliance or regulatory mandates that I need to adhere to, and really have that flexibility to pivot when change occurs because new models are coming out every day. NVIDIA just at its latest GTC conference announced massive investments in uh, expert models that are small language models that have this flexibility that are bringing more control back to people. So when you think about what is VCF looking to do, it's helping to maintain privacy and control of data, lowest total cost of ownership, which is super important today. You think about the cost of hardware, the cost of memory, the cost overall of an AI server, and then when you compound that with the cost of energy, these are real concerns that organizations have where they're trying to bring AI to different parts of the world, or they're trying to grow as much AI capacity as they can in a constrained environment, which is constrained by floor capacity, constrained by power, and things like this. So when you start to virtualize your overall AI capacity, you can use 100% of available capacity 100% of the time. You can typically tend to run far more workloads on this shared environment compared to having all of these different AI islands and doing so with a common operational plane, a common way to orchestrate and schedule the resource allocation across these different nodes in your AI clusters. Taking this distributed infrastructure as a service approach to AI, These are really hard problems, and these are things that we've been doing for the last 25 years. We're really good at them, and we're doing this in a way that's very partner friendly. So we have an OpenAI compatible API as a dial tone. We have a CNCF AI conformant Kubernetes. We can do all of that resource scheduling and load balancing. So what you're seeing from us is a very open and modular approach to delivering AI services for our customers and doing it in a way that really creates a lot of room to collaborate with our partners where we don't have all of this overlap. So that's really what's been key for us. Build that foundation, build that distributed, highly intelligent IaaS layer for artificial intelligence, and then allow our partners to come in and then complete the stack and add that last mile of value for our customers. Okay, so if we want to talk about use cases, there's several that we see as fairly common patterns with our customers. Certainly, having a support agent for your customer service types of use cases is often very commonplace. Organizations have a lot of data that's private data that their support agents would have access to help resolve customer issues. This data often cannot leave their control for a variety of compliance reasons. And this is a very repeatable type of use case. It's also something where organizations are able to measure like how well is the AI tool doing in terms of the efficiency of the call center agents. It also helps with retention because oftentimes without like an AI assistant, a junior agent is having to shadow a senior agent. And the senior people sometimes get tired of having to do very basic things, training up somebody. So now your chatbot is able to, or your generative AI tool is able to train up these new employees and not have to burden the more senior employees with all of this work, where they can just help out on some of the hard stuff and really do the work that gives them greater job satisfaction. So we're seeing a lot more retention there. Use cases like language translation, like I mentioned earlier, you start thinking about different types of data operations around knowledge retrieval, uh, search, augmentation, summation, and then finally, we see often GPU as a service. So I have my AI capacity. I'm starting to serve these different use cases, but I have some spare capacity. So let me take advantage of that spare capacity as well and do some different experiments with it. There's technology that we're building into our own product that allow you to intelligently even preempt workloads. So I can maximize my GPU capacity 100% of the time. But say if I have an outage on a production inference service, I'm able to dynamically reclaim GPUs from a lower class of service so that I can continue to optimize that utilization. So that's how we really think about these use cases. And again, this is really a partner forward approach for us, for the partners to come in and really help our customers navigate the complexities of, well, what data do I need? How do I actually build this into a solution, and how do I actually measure the value of that solution for my own customers?
So I think so. So Vectara provides an agentic framework, which is like horizontal. You can build different agents for different use cases on the same platform. Uh, so that enables enterprises to build different kind of applications, right? So we have seen traction with some of our customers. One of them is what Chris mentioned is a typical chatbot, right? And that's one of the customers is actually Broadcom, where their chatbot is powered by Vectara's agentic platform, and that's how we even started this partnership. What happens is like a company can upload all their information inside the Vectara platform, and then they can build a very good customer support chatbot using that, where the chatbot can take action on the customer's behalf or answer questions based on the knowledge that was ingested, right? So that's just one use case. uh, when we do on-prem, that enables us to go to use cases that otherwise would not be possible. We have multiple semiconductor companies that leverage this, right? Recently, we had a POC, and we're now going to production with SanDisk. What they are doing is that they have a ton of IP and confidential data that they have, where they wanted to enable their engineers to use that, right? to understand. Imagine like a junior engineer joins the team and they want to understand what are all the chips that memory chips that they support, all going back all years, like decades and whatnot, right? So they cannot send that data outside their premises. So we have air gap solutions as well. So what they do is they install Vectara, they upload all of their proprietary information over there, and now they have multiple agents that they can use for different use cases. One of them is failure detection, right? So imagine you ingested all your historical Jira tickets, all your bug reports, all your technical product information, and now somebody reports something that is not working. The agent can go and figure out, based on all the historical data and technical products, what's happening, right? And this data is very complicated. Imagine semiconductor data, right? It has flow charts and diagram, chip information, chip images with what they can do and what they cannot do. How does the agent answer based on that, right? So, given how we have a very powerful multimodal solution that extracts the correct information at ingestion time, builds the right context for the agents at runtime to produce the correct answer, it goes a far way for these kind of use cases. One more is knowledge management systems, right? Every company has ton of internal information. Some of them, of course, is external as well, right? For there, you can use a SaaS service. That's fine. They don't care about that. But a ton of it is internal. Losing that information it can be very like bad for the company. So we have seen some of our customers use our platform to build knowledge management systems within the company, right? And there are different ways of doing that. So basically, what we do is you can build agents on top of our platform, or we can build agents for you using our platform, right? We call them managed agents. So these are some of the use cases that we're solving today for our customers.
If you want to think about like why would you trust us for some of your sensitive workloads and AI use cases, to me this is fairly simple in that for the most critical production environments around the world, we're a company and a solution that's been trusted now for multiple decades, and we never compromise on quality. We never compromise on reliability. We want to make sure that, especially in this world of AI and highly dynamic threats and the things that every organization tends to face, that we have a solution that you can trust, that you can continue to build upon. The second is we're modular and we're designed for interoperability. So no matter what changes in the future, like say you want to leverage a different hardware accelerator, you want to be able to do that without having to refactor your services that are sitting below and really make that transition simple. Being able to scale to different types of sites, including edge sites, all with a common platform and keeping your cost as low as possible. To me, these are really key reasons. And then when you bring in, you take VMware Cloud Foundation, and then you bring in a partner like Vectara, as Talat's already mentioned, this is a solution that we're already using internally. And when we're going to customers with partners, we like to go to customers with partners where we're already using their products because we feel that we're putting our brand on the line here. We're putting our integrity and our reputation on the line. So the validation that we already have successfully running services with Victara internally gives us a ton of confidence to be able to approach our customers together, knowing that we're really going to help them to solve their problems.
So thanks for that, Chris. So like my background is in engineering. I've written code all of my life. I've been on call for Google, like including for Google search. So I know the pain that there is when you want to maintain infrastructure, when you want to build infrastructure, when you want to build your systems, right? So I definitely like I think like customers, businesses, they want to focus on their outcomes. They don't care about what the infra is behind the scenes, right? That's where where it was so like no brainer for us to partner with VMware. If you go back like 10, 15 years ago, right, the on-prem infrastructure was so bad, right? Now Kubernetes came in, sure, it improves stuff, but there's so much more to be desired, right? How do you make sure all your GPUs are utilized 100%? How do you make sure that you can replace things on the fly? How do you divide workloads between different machines, right? All your storage, how do you make sure that it's reliable, it's backed up correctly? So once you go with something like VCF, you don't have to worry about those things. That's being taken care of. Then on top of that, you go Vectara. All of a sudden, you have a very powerful end-to-end agentic platform that you can use for different applications, especially that contain extremely complex multimodal data. And you can go to production very quickly. We've had literally yesterday, I was having a conversation with one of our customers, and they were given this task, and he said like I would need at least 7 engineers for several months, and I need more engineers to even maintain that after production, right? And I need to make sure over time the quality does not degrade. I need to have multiple machine learning people as well to tell me which is the right model to use. How do you do chunking? How do you do re-ranking? All that kind of stuff. So you don't want to do that as a business. All you care about is this is my business outcome. How can I get to it as quickly as possible with least pain? And you can even reduce your cost because you don't want to hire a team of 10 engineers just for this. That's where we come in with VMware and Vectara. We'll solve all the infra problems for you, and we provide an end-to-end agentic platform that you can just use to build your solutions very quickly.
Yeah, if I go back and we talk about pain points specifically, the key really is first helping organizations to avoid buyer's remorse. It's easy to say, hey, there's all of this choice of AI appliances out there. But when you start to actually look at, well, what would it actually take to operate this thing? You're going to wind up in many cases having to build this entire software stack for all of the different operational considerations you might have, from backup to security to observability, resiliency, DR, and so forth. Change management. These things don't go away, and that's going to be really key. This is what we hear often in terms of the value that we're providing in terms of setting that overall foundation. And as Talat has already shared earlier, that shorter time to value is massive when you can take a model, pull a model down, be able to connect it to some of your data sources, and you're talking about being going from 0 to services in production even in a matter of days. That's tremendous value. We've had customers tell us that just to certify the software stack for the model itself, sometimes that takes them a couple of months because it's not just run the model. It's like, well, what is the accelerator specific driver I might need, or optimized kernels or accelerator specific frameworks? The nuance once you get into the details is very complex. So when you can have something that's simple to operate, simple to scale, has a consistent set of management operations tools, you really got something going for you. And then again, when you layer a solution like Vectara on top of ECF, then you're really set up end to end to be successful.
Yeah, so when I interview some of our engineers for a job, some of them mentioned that they build a RAG end-to-end solution on the weekend, right? And I was like, that's great, but what about production, right? So when you go to production, you have so many challenges that they're not obvious at build time, right? Scalability is one, like security is another, observability, audit logs, governance, all that kind of stuff is you might think or talking about at build time, but once you go to production, you need those, right? So those are some of the pain points that you want VMware and Vectara for. Second is enterprises, they have so much data that they want value out of, and it's hard to get that. And AI is enabling that, right? AI is making them dream to how to get knowledge out of data, basically. And some of this data is extremely, extremely complicated. Like you can take one PDF, it has like text, it has like text in some context is being applied differently. Fifth page is referring to the first page about something. You have 5 images on one page talking about completely different things. You have tables. So even parsing one PDF might be so complicated. Right now, imagine millions of those documents. That's knowledge that you want to use inside your enterprise, and that's where we come in. Not only do you get good quality retrieval, good quality answers out of it, but it's an agentic platform that you can use for taking actions as well, like in a customer support chatbot or an IT managed system. You can take actions. You can launch new GitHub issue or Jira tickets or something, right? So and it's not just proof of value for in just a lab. You can go to production. Like literally, we've seen people go to production in weeks instead of months. So that's, I think, the main pain points that we solve together with VCF and Vectara. So basically, anytime you want to utilize your data for any business outcome, right? I'll give you a few examples of what happens. So one of them is the Broadcom chat support chatbot, right? You can deflect customers' questions, because now instead of opening up tickets and whatnot, you can give them answers as they come, and just like create tickets when absolutely needed. We have some units where they use our APIs directly to build whatever applications they want. We have uh, a lot of semiconductor companies in Fortune 100, including Texas Instrument. They use us for internal engineering solutions, where they put all their engineering documents and they do question answering over there. We have they build internal chatbots based on IP data that their internal folks can use, and it's such a big range. It goes from there to companies like Aon that use the Vectara agents for um, claim processing, right? Insurance and claim processing, towards companies like um, SanDisk, which use us for failure analysis. So it's a pretty broad spectrum. But on the on-prem side, it's mostly how do you use, how can you get value out of proprietary confidential data that you're not okay sending outside your premises.
Yeah, and one thing I would add on business value on the VCF side, to give you a specific example, one of our customers is one of the largest manufacturing companies in the world. What they were able to do, moving their workloads over to VCF, was reduce their infrastructure costs or infrastructure capacity 50%. 50. Now, when you think about that, that's not just your server hardware or network hardware costs or power costs, but then any other software that you're running across that infrastructure, that's a heck of a lot fewer cores. So your software costs are lower as well. So when you can get the privacy and control of AI, and you can see considerable cost reductions as well, it's a fairly straightforward business case when you take this solution to the CFO and you're especially if you're vetting that against other potential solutions that are out there.